for a long, long time. Yeah, from Calro days, and now with your silver. Are you orange? Are you wearing orange?
Yes.
Yeah, you are the winners this year. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Ruth.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure. I've known Ruth for a long time, and every time I've met her, she leaves me challenged. And many times, she says, don't read it, just tell me. So I'll try not to read it, Ruth.
Yeah.
But only, the title we chose,
Yes.
Transforming Agriculture to Transform Human Lives, is part of the story that I believe SEP would like to share with you. International Potato Center, as it celebrates the World Food Prize 2016 award. This year, our colleagues have won that, and we think there's a story behind that that we can share some insights. Not the whole of it, because I'm not one of the rest. I want to tell you a few glimpses of what I think is interesting in that story. And I need to also say, I've got my Director General here, so if there are any questions, she will answer for me, because she works with all of us.
Can you make us stand up so people see?
Yes, please, Barbara.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara, and her deputy Oscar, and my other colleagues here with me. About partnerships, we believe in public-private partnerships, no doubt, because that is part of the market story we all know makes life interesting and moves the world. But we'd like to make a few observations that with a little caution, so that with a few caution we may be wiser in dealing with the markets in the context of Africa. Because we continue to prosper, but we also continue to suffer. As you hear different stories from different people, we talk about poverty, we talk about progress, we talk about death, we talk about life. What are these contradictions, and what could they be representing? I think some interesting questions that we as diaspora, am I diaspora or not? I live in Kenya, but I went to school here, and I've worked in many countries like you do, but finally sitting in Nairobi and living and working in Africa as the regional director of Africa, I think I understand a lot of what these contradictions, different glimpses of the same reality that tell you different stories. So to us, we would like to suggest that while markets drive the world, they tend to follow opportunities. And those opportunities, in some way, you look at the opportunities as they've trailed in Africa, and you find some rural areas that are very wealthy, and many other rural areas that are very poor. It seems like these markets penetrate very, very selectively, and leaving a few people very wealthy and very many people very poor. So the question, as Ruth is posing to us, what is it we are doing well and what is it we can do better, is something that I think we may want to discuss as people, Africans in diaspora and the supporters. As we work in SIP, we have found it interesting to begin thinking of agriculture, not just in the production sector and productivity gains, and we do that, but thinking of how we can focus at the entire value chains of potato, sweet potato, and looking at opportunities along those value chains, so that there are opportunities, yes, for producers, there are opportunities for processors, there are opportunities along the value chains that seem to attract the youth, seem to attract women, and create opportunities that were not always available at the production end. And also, as we work, as I said, we keep ourselves reminded that the story is not just about income, because people have made income and become malnourished too. What is it that makes us so malnourished, even as we handle currencies and monies and so on? Is there something we need to think differently to make us as wealthy as we are healthy? I want to give you that slide comparing two powerhouses in Africa. Who hasn't heard of Nigeria in this hall? Nigeria? A big powerhouse, right? Big powerhouse. Who has heard of Tanzania? Another powerhouse. In the east and in the west. big countries, big populations, big leaders, big powerhouses. But I want to attract your attention to the statistics there. Just one on nutrition. Yeah, huge agricultural populations in these countries, but quite shocking statistics in nutrition. In Nigeria, 2.5 million children suffer acute malnutrition. What is the statistic in Nigeria? The next slide. It is 2.4 million. Very similar. Different, yeah, in Tanzania. This is Nigeria, 2.5. Tanzania, 2.4 million. In Nigeria, over 1/3 of child deaths due to undernutrition. 1/3. In Tanzania, guess what it is? 1/3 too. In Nigeria, 30% of preschool-age children are deficient in vitamin A. Yeah, 30%. What is it in Tanzania? Give me a guess. Yeah, 24%. A little better. Not good. A little better. In Nigeria, 49% of women reproductive age are deficient of iron age. 49%. What is it in Tanzania? 40%. Is that better? Not sure. And finally, another statistic, 36% in Nigeria, 36% prevalence of under 5 stunting. What is it in Tanzania? 35%. Something about these big houses, and I can tell you, I just chose those two, just to contrast East and West. I could have done North and South, and the trend will be the same. So that's to suggest that while we are pleased we are making progress in Africa, there are certain dimensions that we need to pay attention to, and if we ignore, we could be limiting ourselves in irreparable ways. When you are poor in nutrition, your future is bleak because your potential is limited. So we need to really think through what is it we are doing and do better, areas we can do better. Let me give you a few then ideas of how SIP has been working at it, conscious of these dimensions. This is just a story to say that as we work with vegetatively propagated crops, sweet potato, we're finding interesting market opportunities in the seed system. We are finding marketing opportunities in post-harvest, in processing, in food industry, areas that were not always associated with sweet potato, for example. Sweet potato always seen as, a poor man's crop and only feeding the poor and so on. And you find opportunities along those value chains, and you find exciting things that attract the youth to the market, that create new opportunities. Maybe the concept of value chains, and this is not a claim to say, I'm just citing some of the ways that people, organizations are beginning to think differently, and when they think agriculture, not just to think of the peasant household digging on the homestead, but how that peasant household and their children and great-grandchildren are linked along the value chains because there are opportunities there. But as we did this, we kept ourselves reminded that as we think these partnerships and these opportunities, there is a risk that we could be reaching out to the same people that are already reached out to. How do we think in a way that we are able to reach the marginalized? It's by thinking, perhaps, how to attract capital that is already ready to invest, but also how to grow capital among those who are not necessarily now in the marketplace. How do we create opportunities that give people opportunities to invest and to grow? How do we grow capital as we attract capital? In that way, as we grow it, we are reaching out to the marginalized. As we attract it, we are looking for those investors who can synergize, then the partnerships can synergize in ways that pull everybody up. Yeah? Let's see how that comes out. An example of attracting capital in areas that, in sweet potato, a non-traditional area, for capital, approached a private farm, Kisima Farms, for those who know Kenya well, Ruth, I'm sure you do. Yeah, invited them to partner us because they've got the capital to invest in high-tech, high technology, produce, as you can see there, the kind of investments that you wouldn't invite a peasant smallholder farmer to, greenhouses, aeroponics, and so on, and produce this potato seed in such large quantities that you are able to supply markets in Kenya and the entire region easily, and you're sure you're giving them good quality seed. This is attracting capital, which we found interesting and reaching the market well. But there's another example I would like to give you of a decentralized vine multiplication of the same crops, but looking out to women, to the youth in the villages, and providing them linkages with laboratories in the private sector. Mbabu is here. The kind of laboratories that they provide to the farmers, farmer groups, to clean planting materials what is it? We do tissue culture. Yeah? Tissue culture plantlets in their millions. And then you have a few well-trained households who then take those seeds and multiply them for their communities. They become the source at community level. And then they link up with the communities, and you supply the same clean materials involving farmers who have made wealth in places that cash is a rarity. And because you link them in ways that then eventually go to the market. I want to go to the next one to show eventually you're not just helping them produce more and more seeds, you facilitate those who are buying those seeds to link up with markets in the agro-processing, confectionery sectors, and so on. So in the end, this provides the demand for the products that then pull the seed sector. So the chain is complete, and these are good examples. In Uganda, the karabo, that's a product that has been marketed for the youth in urban sector. And you should see it on television just before news, private agent, the factory advertising these as food for the urban, for the healthy, and so on. It's vitamin A packed, which is interesting and useful. And so it's become a fashionable upmarket food from what it used to be sweet potato for the poor. Now marketed for the youth, marketed for the urban elite who are looking for health and so on through private sector. And the same thing you find in other products at the other end. My point then is that as we think in two parallel lines, how do we attract and how do we grow? How do we get those who are in the marginalized areas to become part of the market forces that then eventually rave and lift all of them together? I think this has been an interesting story for SIP, and wanted to share that with you. But let me make a few observations to conclude. Yes, there is a paradox of malnutrited agricultural producers. I find that very paradoxical. How do you grow? How do you grow food and be malnourished to say that? There might be something that we are doing wrong. And I think what I wanted to emphasize on that slide is the need to introduce nutrition, integrate nutrition training among those that you're drawing into the marketplace, so that they can understand why it is important for themselves to grow and buy nutritious foods, because they need it, and the future generations depend on how nutritious their health is. As you make that case, like this is an example of where we've linked up with health clinics, where we then target mothers-to-be or young mothers and their children, because they are the most vulnerable to vitamin A. We have vitamin A loaded, if you like, or fortified sweet potato that they can access to. So we make arrangements as they come to the clinic, they access these materials and eventually supported by extension and eventually then sell it as they consume it so that their children and they themselves remain healthy as they make income out of it. But working with health ministries, a link that is not always obvious with agriculture. It's not always you find agriculture and health and nutrition agencies working together, but mechanisms like this provide that. At the end of the day, then, you have healthy and wealthy people in areas that were not always so. What's the point then, to conclude? We need to transform agricultural sectors by thinking and behaving differently. Different approaches, conceptualizing agriculture not just as growing it, but also consuming it and selling it through strong value chains. We need to consider parallel approaches to private sector, if you like, private sector engagement by thinking in a parallel way where we attract as we grow. We need to include, to be inclusive as well by targeting marginalized populations such as youth and women, balancing income generation with healthy lives, but there are prerequisites to this. This is an experience of safe and like-minded people. What do we think? How do we universalize this in that continent? Our suggestion is that we really need to think very hard, and maybe talking to AU and others who have a stake in this. How do we grow very strong, value-based, visionary leadership at different levels of operation? If we don't have leadership, we'll continue having policies in the documents and cannot translate them into programs and projects. How do we get value-based? We talk about corruption as if it is God-given. I think it is really a failure in the leadership sector. Yeah? We entrust you with public resources, and the next thing we hear is what Ruth was suggesting. Why is it that even when we are so learned, we can be so horrible? How do we get values that give us pride in offering leadership to those who need it most, the vulnerable? How can we be agents of change, not just for ourselves, but especially for the needy? Leadership, we want to suggest. And if you look at the laureates that we are celebrating here today, I have never known people who worked so selflessly in their lives. They work day and night, not for themselves, but for others. Maybe that is something we can borrow from them. The other observation we'd like to suggest is that we need to entrench entrepreneurship. You know, we talk about entrepreneurial societies. What is entrepreneurship? What its origins, and how do we entrench it among those who need it so that they can be entrepreneurial? We are so good at consumer consumption. We are so good at living well, at least for the moment, and creating a future that nobody wants to imagine. How do we entrench entrepreneurship in our leadership and among women and youth so that they can drive these sectors, not just for them today, but for the future that they are creating? As we think through this, we'd like to suggest that we need to have strong capacity development programs embedded among targeted groups that bring in not just technical skills, and as I say, values and entrepreneurship. And this could be supported with innovative policies, programs based on the leadership that I suggested. I thank you very much. Those are the insights we share from SEP. And the laureates are not here. I would have invited you to clap for them. But because the DG is here, please. I thank you very much for your time.
Adiel, you don't invite a clap. It was coming anyway. Adiel. You are passionate. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. My own connection to the orange color, you know, as we celebrate you, is I served on this Program Advisory Committee for Biofortification. The first thing we addressed was the orange flesh sweet potato. And I was the only African on that panel. And I told them, look, you can never replace my sweet potato at all. So don't come to say replace the sweet potato you have. Bring it as a new product. And you see, when you have a new product, that's why you have all those products. Isn't it? All these different products. So understanding the community, the culture, and how you introduce it, I think takes time, and we hope it can take a shorter time than the orange potato has taken. But finally we are there, and we are here to celebrate all of you as we enjoy it. And secondly, I can't wear that orange dress in certain parts of Kenya. At any time, not just political time. Yeah, because it belongs to a certain party. Okay, any question here? One question or two to this? Yes, Juliana? You say who you are, please, and one question only? Yes.
I'm Juliana Veravira, Managing Director, Sasakawa Africa Association.
Where did the microphone go?
Thank you. I want to thank the speaker, and I'm referring to the comparison of the two countries you made. From the point of view of, first, to congratulate the center for having come up with this product, which might reduce malnutrition across Africa. But I would like to, I don't know whether to call it a question or a comment, that it has taken a long time to come up with this product. I do not know along the way how far you have gone to spread it, okay, to help those who are malnutrition, especially children and pregnant women across Africa. Yeah, because I got to know about it when I go to Uganda, because Sasakawa works in Uganda. But before that, I didn't know about it, you know. And if I didn't know about it, I'm sure a lot of women in the rural areas have never heard about it. So why has it taken so long to get it to the people who need to know about it, who need to use it to feed their children, for the women to eat it, and so on and so forth. And sweet potato, as far as I'm concerned, is a root crop which is very popular in the rural areas, at least of sub-Saharan Africa. So it is not difficult to spread the good news if you come with a good variety. I'm just wondering why you have not quite come up really to spread it that far.
Okay. Thank you, Juliana. Just a second one, and then you can answer. Any other question? Yes.
Yes, Adiel. I think this just a question or comment. There is this question about, and it could be related to this question about advocacy. There are two things to this advocacy, spreading out, government uptaking. There is the need and there is the benefit. The need is what we all know, nutrition, scientists, and all that. We understand the need. Just like malaria, we know you need to treat malaria. But we need to go beyond that and show the benefits to the government. This is what it costs you, government, when you don't treat vitamin A deficiency. That now you're addressing the benefits. And that is high-level advocacy. If you do not treat malaria, this is what it costs to treat. So really, these nutritious foods or biofortification lie somewhere between medical and agriculture, because malnutrition affects health, affects life, affects productivity. And I think we need to go beyond just the need to addressing the benefits and by addressing the benefits and doing our advocacy to the policymakers on how much we are saving lives or saving this, it may have a more higher level of what I call policy influence, and then maybe some investments going to the channel toward this beyond just donor funding and make it more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. Yeah. Adiel, you want to make a comment, a short one?
Yes.
Because we have a discussion session.
Yes. Very good point about what is our reach to the rest of Africa. And yes, we've so far been concentrating on a proof of concept effort. And through this, in about 8 countries so far, we've reached nearly 3 million households. Our aim is to reach 10 million in the next few years. And so the challenge is how to scale up that effort. And we've got a very aggressive advocacy program. We had a limited one. Lois, you may remember, Mbabu, about the RAC project that we, again, trying out methods of advocacy, reaching out and influencing. We got eventually funded to include all centers that are working with well-fortified crops, believing that advocacy is a big tool. And so a new project has been launched to do that and to really learn how to scale up. We are hoping that through these efforts, we will attract the support we require to reach the 10 million that are needed and waiting to be reached. We are aspiring to that, and if you can help us continue on this campaign for advocacy, we've got the promise that technology works. Join us in reaching out the 10 million that we need in the next few years.
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, we need to reach a level where we don't have to count the 10 million. It should just be everywhere. We should take it for granted. It should be like this water. Start by eating sweet potato chips here in the USA. Then, it's everywhere, isn't it? Yeah, that's what advocacy means. And that by you winning here, all of us then become advocates of this. Because you scientists have proved it. And I think those who are giving you money for advocacy are the ones who want you to show 10 million.
Yes.
But 10 million, out of what? More than a billion Africans?
These are households.
No, it doesn't matter, because you have to account to your donor.
Yes.
But as far as impact, we don't need to count. We need to see it everywhere, being consumed and making a difference in children's lives. I think that's what it really means. Because getting the award means you are proven that it works. You are proven that it has impact. Yes, Adiel?
Yes.
Yeah. Nutrition is a difficult science. I've been with it all my life. It's only now that even people like you can say the word nutrition.